Hi everybody, welcome back for another video. Today we're talking about replicas, and by replica I don't strictly mean a replica of a firearm like my T4E, which is a replica of the Glock 17. It is intentionally made to be a replica, to be, piece by piece, same geometry, same size, same shape, same weight, for training purposes, for ease of use, for training. Some people actually do choose to use something like this for EDC, maybe with PepperBalls, maybe with kinetic rounds, maybe with alternating rounds. But I'm speaking more generally, but I'm going to use this as an example because this is generic. It is a black looking launcher, but if someone points it at you, can you tell that that's not real? There's no way you're going to be able to tell. That's good and that's bad. It might be a deterrent. It might allow you to stop someone in their tracks and they'll retreat from you. But there's a lot of things you need to consider. I want to show you two examples that I created. This is me in two different scenarios. The first, I'm going to be playing a criminal who is attacking you and is presenting their firearm or their replica. And the question is, can you tell the difference? And the second example is of you defending yourself in an honest situation in a parking lot, and you pull your replica, whether it's a Byrna or it's some other small launcher that looks like a firearm. That's what we're going to be talking about today, because each scenario has its own limitations and dangers. So let's go through this one by one and have this very important conversation that needs to be had.
Hey, buddy. Can I have $1, please? Man, I run out of gas down yonder. I need just a little bit of more money. Can you spare a little bit? I mean, give me all your money and give it to me now, quick. I want all your money. I want it here and I want it there. You give it to me now and I got it. All right, fellas, I'm out of here. I ain't gonna shoot. I ain't gonna shoot if you give it to me. All right, I got it. Okay. Well, I said that's neither here nor there. I got it. Okay. All right. Okay. Give it to me.
Okay, so when the guy was there and if he was in front of you, would you have been able to tell that he had a real firearm or a fake firearm or a replica or a paintball gun? You really would not be able to tell, because you don't have the ability in that stressful time to take the time to look carefully. I mean, some of the rifled launchers and paintball guns are clearly paintball guns, and I know people that have seen them, and I've seen videos of people that recognize them right away, faster than everyone else, and then they respond because they know that it's not real, and they respond. But in your case, you can't tell the difference, and I think that's really important, because it's an advantage for you if you're the defender and the person that you're interacting with thinks that you have a real firearm. They most likely will stand down, and having that reality is potentially very useful. But a lot of times we think about these replicas, which are generally weak launchers, which may deliver pepper balls and they may deliver some kinetic rounds, but at suboptimal joules. We think of these in a more idealized setting. We think of them in a setting where there's perfect light, the target is very slow acting and kind of dumb, does not charge you. There's no wind, there's no rain. The conditions tend to be ideal and perfect, and in your mind you think about how you're going to draw your weapon and you're going to defend against them, and they're going to be so intimidated they're going to run away. They're not going to charge you. You're not going to have to then put shots on target that'll actually stop someone. And that raises the question, when you use something like this, a low-powered launcher, now whether this is a 7 joule or you've got an 11 joule or you've got a 25 joule, at this size and this firearm look, even those amounts of joules are not likely to stop a determined person that's charging you, unless you shoot perfect shots and you have a lot of luck. The chemical rounds may or may not work depending on the conditions, and unless they're in a car or they're surrounded, the pepper powder is going to disperse quickly, and it may not have the intended effect. One of the things I think your best case is your hope to be a distraction device. So you got a difference between a distraction device and an actual device that will stop someone, put them down to the ground, deter them in a way that by force, and not necessarily by pain compliance, but by actual force. And those are two very different things. Those are apples and oranges. This is more of a distraction device. I think if I pulled this, and I do not carry this, I don't need to carry this, but if I did, I would view it in my mind as an alternative to pepper spray. I would say, well, it's something that is something you can carry. It is not small. This is a Glock 17 replica. It is on the big side, and it's certainly not something that I would want to carry all day, although you could. But I would think of it as a distraction device. If you pulled this, hopefully they think it's a firearm, but two, if you start distracting them by pelleting them with something they don't know what it is, especially if you're close enough to start landing them in the face and moving away and running, I think you have an ability to evade. Same thing with the Byrna. I think that's the general concept by which Byrna works, is the firearm look, deterrence. The chemicals maybe help you distract someone, but it never works perfectly like you see in the advertisements. Always remember that. So the second scenario is converted on its head, and I want to talk about the dangers of you pulling this in a parking lot, in an area where there are other people around. Now, this may not be an issue if you live in a gun-free country or a gun-free city, and people are strictly held to that, and it's enforced, and guns are just not prevalent, but these things are allowed. In that particular case, I would feel comfortable to pull one. But I live in red states. I live in the South. I live in constitutional carry states. You pull this in a crowd, you might get a very different response. So I want to show you this video, and you tell me if you can tell if this is not a real firearm. Is this my real Glock, or is this the replica? You tell me.
Hey, buddy, what you doing? You can't take that. No, it's mine. Get out of here. Leave us alone. Hey, it's not me, it's him. He started it. I'm just trying to keep him under control until the police get here. Can you watch this guy? No, it's not me. I'm not trying to rob him. It's this guy right here. Can you see? I'm pointing at him with my tool. It's not a firearm, it's a tool.
So there you have it. I can't tell. To me, that would look like someone who had pulled a gun on someone. Now, if the other person has their hands raised up and they're complying and they're going away, and you're using this to deter them from stealing your property in a parking lot, and you're just trying to get them to go away. Maybe you think, okay, I can put 1 or 2 PepperBalls into them and that'll even help even more. And if you do that, what if the guy who's getting out of his car across the way is a good Samaritan? He's got his firearm on his hip, and he sees this happening, and he can't tell that you're the good guy or the bad guy, and he has to make a split-second decision. And he sees this from much farther away than I'm showing you on the video, and he sees you holding a black firearm-looking replica object, and you might be the attacker, and the situation is not clear. If you're not verbalizing and you're not doing something to try to cover yourself, you could easily get shot, and you could easily be killed by a good Samaritan who's just trying to do the right thing. This is a highly unlikely scenario, but if you live in Texas, you live in Florida, you live in Georgia, you live in places where I spend a lot of time, Tennessee, a lot of these states that have constitutional carry, they have lots of people who carry and take their job very seriously. And if something happens, and if they see someone who's doing that in an open space, they may respond. Now, your Byrna is a great tool if you're in a rural area, if you're in a place where guns are strictly not allowed, but it's allowed. it serves its purpose. It serves its purpose in places like New Jersey and Rhode Island, where your typical criminal is not going to have a firearm, or the rules are very strict in New York City and places in California. And even in Georgia, where I live, you would think Georgia, a constitutional carry state, should be very easy. The reality is, within the Atlanta city limits, this is not allowed. You can't have an air gun, you can't have a real gun, you can't have a knife, you can't have mace or pepper spray. Nothing is allowed within the city limits of Atlanta. That's hard to believe, but that is the local law. Even though you go outside the city of Atlanta, and if you're not in any of some of these cities that have these strict laws, it's as free as it can be. But as soon as you cross the city line, you're essentially as if you were in New York City. And every time I stand up for Byrna, or I stand up for anyone in the less lethal field, the people say, well, it looks too much like a gun. That's a good way to get yourself killed. These are the comments that are not something you can just casually dismiss. They are rooted in reality. And it does not mean, my response is typically that the firearm is not the tool and the solution for everything, which is true. But you got to be careful, folks. If you carry any launcher, I don't care if it's small and it looks like a tiny pistol, or it's a more cartoonish, large-looking revolver that's clearly abnormal looking, but if it has that shape, even if it's big, someone from 10 yards away may not be able to tell that that's really that big. They just see it very clearly. It may actually be easier for them to see that that's a firearm shape if it's abnormally large from a longer distance, and a person may still want to fire on you. So just be aware that you are putting yourself in a danger. So just a warning about less lethal replicas and less lethal launchers. And replicas cover a lot of things. If it's small, it looks like a pistol. TCP, TRP, gavel, Byrna launchers, Umarex T4E launchers, all are replicas in my mind. Whether were designed to replicate an actual firearm or not, they are by law considered replicas. Imitation firearms, modified paintball guns, these are things that you may or may not be able to even carry into some cities. That's my word of warning for this time, for this video. Just be safe, know your plan, and then there'll be no question when an incident happens. All right, everybody take care. We'll see you in the next one.